This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. So, today, Perez Hilton, who is a Hollywood blogger well known here in the United States, says exactly what everyone is thinking. And I think it's good to amplify this particular article because it does confirm everything that people have been thinking and scratching our heads as to why more people aren't saying it. And that's because Meghan has a full force of propaganda that's being pushed out to make sure that these opinions get suppressed. So I'm going to do my part here to amplify this article. Thank you, Perez, for saying out loud what we all are thinking. The title says Meghan Markle makes it really obvious she's avoiding UK as Prince Harry returns home. Meghan Markle has her own itinerary while husband Prince Harry returns to the United Kingdom. The Duke of Sussex is planning to head back to London in a little more than a week for the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games, and he will be going solo. The event will take place on May 8th with a service at St. Paul's Cathedral, where the author is set to deliver a reading. And according to People on Monday, the Suits alum has no plans to tag along. Shocker. Here's the interesting thing, though. It's pretty obvious Meg is just boycotting the England swing of the trip because right after this event, she will be joining Harry on his travels for Invictus Games Foundation, related gigs in Nigeria. People confirmed that the Archetypes host has accepted an invitation alongside her hubby to visit the African nation in May on behalf of the country's chief of defense staff, who is their highest ranking military official. The couple is expected to meet with service members and participate in cultural activities during the Nigeria trip. Sounds fun! As precious readers might remember, the mother of two who has been very active with the sports competition, including showing up to the games in Germany last year and heading to the Invictus Games Vancouver Whistlers 2025's 1 year to go celebrations in February. And yet, she's not going to the milestone anniversary celebrations in London? She must really want nothing to do with the UK. Oof. Whether this decision was based on the fact Harry just lost his court battle for security back home or the ongoing royal rift, or both, to be honest, it's clear the Sussex family isn't prioritizing visits to the Archewell co-founder's home country right now. Too bad. This would have been a good time to fight for a royal reunion. Perez Hilton makes a very valid point here. This narcissist is giving up the chance to be front and center at a milestone event for Invictus Games, considering that she has been front and center and forced her way into taking over the spotlight from Harry in the last couple of games. You would think that this would be something that she would want to attend. Well, we know that Meghan is too much of a coward to show her face in the UK ever again. So anticipate that in the future, Meghan will come up with this excuse, that excuse to make sure that she never has to step foot in the UK ever again. Unlike in the US, where Meghan can control every aspect of the PR presentation and photos being taken, she can't do that in the UK. And she would definitely not want to risk, again, another situation to where she's booed into oblivion, like what happened with the Jubilee. This has nothing to do with security. This woman is a coward. And even if they did get their security back, I guarantee she would have other excuses as to why she will not show her face again in the United Kingdom. Who could blame her? I mean, look what she did to the entire family. Look what she did to the people of the UK. Who would want to see her there? Absolutely no one. Even worse is that the feeling is mutual for Prince Harry, but he's going back to his home country. Imagine if the situation was reversed and it was Meghan going back to her home country in the US and was facing a whole bunch of criticism and booing. Don't you think Prince Harry would be by her side? Of course, he's been there by her side for everything. But when it comes time to be by Prince Harry's side, Meghan is nowhere in sight. Meghan Markle is the one who's predominantly to blame for the reason why Harry is returning by himself and the reason why he no longer has a relationship with his family, as well as why the United Kingdom hates him so much. What's astonishing to me is that there are people out there still willing to push their propaganda and act as if nothing happened over the last 6 years and Meghan and Harry have done nothing wrong. Take, for instance, one of these sugars, assuming that is being paid by Meghan, because this one continuously posts garbage like this. They write, the monarchy scumbags doesn't truly support vets or those in need. They can't rise above their petty hatred against Prince Harry or Meghan Markle, so they choose not to show up. It just shows what type of people they are. Well, what about Meghan Markle? She doesn't want to show up to the UK, but decides to show up to Nigeria in discussing the Invictus Games? Come on, man. Whether Meghan is paying these people or they're just plain stupid, their intent here is to gaslight. They want you to forget about all the nasty and vile and cruel things that Meghan and Harry have done to hurt the royal family and still be treated as if, oh, we need to show Harry some compassion and support. Hell no. But of course, the reason why this happens is because you have journalists who write titles like this designed to gaslight the public. Shame on them for saying this because it's like, okay, so what if nobody from the royal family is showing up to support Harry? That should be a given. I think a better title would have been not surprising that no senior members of the royal family will join Prince Harry at the UK Invictus event. I mean, these journalists tend to just pretend the last 6 years didn't happen, even though they had been reporting on it. I know that they have to sell newspapers, but there's so much that they could be reporting on that they choose not to. So either there are parameters in place that specifically say don't touch these topics, or they're just lazy people. I'm thinking that it could be the latter, and they just want to get headlines out so they could get clicks, which I think is kind of sad. So you notice how the news has been saturated over the last 2 days about Meghan not going to the UK and going to Nigeria when it's now overshadowing even her soft launch of this stupid jam. Is this now to cover up for the failure for that launch? Because she had 50 jars that had gone out and only 9 have showed it or put it up to talk about it. The last 2 weeks, people have been consumed about talking about this jam. It just so happened that it overshadowed not only Lady C's book, but also the reporting that Dan Wooten did around the Sussex Squad and the bullying. So I think it would be worth bringing Lady C's book back into focus so we can continue to keep talking about Meghan and Harry, the real story. And I would like to raise one part that Lady C raises in her book about what happened in September of 2023 at the Invictus Games. I think it's worth revisiting and calling attention to just in time for them to go to Nigeria. Lady C writes, in a further demonstration of just how ineffective the couple was at reading the room, both Harry and Meghan also played the race card in Germany, the one country on earth where no one of any sensitivity would play such a card considering that country's sensitivity to its history. He had alluded in his opening speech to Meghan's recently proclaimed discovery that she was 43% Nigerian and implied that a whole new element of competitiveness had to be introduced into their support of various teams. Once Meghan arrived, she cack-handedly played the same card, pointedly referring to a Nigerian as her sister, and ensuring that in virtually all photographs they were surrounded by black faces. Paradoxically, when the Fulani Muslims of Nigeria slaughtered hundreds of Nigerian Christians over the Christmas season in 2023, Meghan somewhat perplexingly failed to inject herself into the genuine crisis of her fellow countrymen. As she had managed to inject herself into the Uvalde tragedy in May 2022, and Archwell would even make a donation, it surprised a Nigerian diplomat whom I know that she would fail to jump on that bandwagon. I suppose she does not realize how rich Nigeria is, he said. Very mystifying that someone as proud of being half Nigerian as Meghan, with a father-in-law who is the head of a Christian church with a following in Nigeria, would fail to offer her condolences in a crisis of that magnitude when only weeks before she was proclaiming how proud she was of being Nigerian. Thank you to Lady C for writing about this interaction because it just goes to show how disingenuous Meghan really is. Does she care about the Nigerians? No, she could give a shit about them. But there's something that they have right now that she needs or wants. And We know Meghan is a user, and once she's done with them, she will discard them, just like she has discarded everyone else. Now, I'm going to put money on this, but Doria is going to be transported out to Nigeria with Meghan. Meghan will not go by herself, and in fact, she's going to use Doria to make the point that she is Black. You notice how Doria only comes out to support Meghan whenever it pertains to Black events, Black people, Black culture. And that's because Meghan hasn't got a clue on how to be Black. So she needs to have her mother there to reinforce this notion that Meghan is down with the people. Now, if Netflix is going along for the ride, you can bet that they will concoct a story around how Meghan is 43% Nigerian in backing in Doria's story somehow with lies. If and only if whatever Meghan is putting together is going to see the light of day. I'm going to bet that it never does. And I think that Netflix is buying their time until 2025 for this contract to expire. What is for sure is that we can guarantee seeing a whole bunch of puff pieces and propaganda being released over the next month or 2 or 3, all the way until the end of this year, as they normally do. Meanwhile, distracting us from what they're really working on, which is something that we need to continue to stay focused on. So if you haven't seen my earlier video that I did, please check that out. That one's really important surrounding the symbolism behind Nigeria and why Meghan is so in love with her heritage. But let me know what you think. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe and I will talk to you later. Bye.
You're such a fraud.